What's going on, guys? It's been a long time coming. We need to finish this thing and stop putting it off. This thing has probably been in the works for 4 years. I don't even know the last time I posted a video on this bike, and I'm sure I said I was going to keep up with it. Well, I guess I lied. Oh yeah. Not sponsored. Now it's time to finish this thing. The only thing left is to take the gear reduction out of this motor, send it off to Houston, and go pick up the motor whenever it's done, which hopefully is before mud nats. That's not the hardest part. The hardest part is wiring everything up, which I can do. It's just there's two main things that I've never done before, and that is the rear steering and the power steering. Trying to place all these control modules where they're going to look nice and neat and custom sleeve the harness to where it doesn't look like an eyesore, because everything is open. You're going to be able to see everything. And right now, it looks like a rat's nest. That's one problem that I'm dreading, but it's got to get done, right? Let's take a view from the side, because when it was tucked away in the corner, it didn't look that big. But now that I have it out, let's check it out. That's the nicest thing, let me tell you. Is it working? Oh, yeah, it's working. I can go wherever I want. All right, guys, from the side, you just get a whole separate perspective of this thing on how stupid it looks, but you can't help but stare at it. I mean, you can barely squeeze in between the tires. It's insane. So the biggest thing that we have on this, and this is the biggest problem of the whole ordeal, and I just brought this bike out, as you've seen the YouTube short probably, the ball joint popped out, the snap ring wasn't fully seated because the knuckle was powder coated, so I sanded that down, snap rings in, so that's good now. This four-wheeler with two batteries, two 16 amp hour regular four-wheeler batteries, died trying to use the winch, because I had all the rock lights on and everything like that. So because this one died and all it has is lights and a sound bar, makes me really nervous for this one. This one, we have power steering. We have rear steering, which is powering a hydraulic pump. Got a lot going on. For those that don't know, the 300s are the worst for running accessories on. They just can't keep up. These things, stock with stock headlights, if you had it idling with the headlights turned on, I don't even think you need the headlights on, eventually they will die. They will die. It will drain the battery completely. You have to be in the RPM range just to actually be stable in charging the battery system. So the biggest thing for this bike, and I think where we left off last time, is I contact Rick's Motorsports, and they make a stator that does produce a little bit more wattage as far as the stator is concerned, but not enough to make me feel confident about all of this actually working for a long run. With that copper four-wheeler only having two batteries, and it died within 4 hours of having everything turned on, and it didn't die. What happened was I shut it off, we were taking a break, and I went to go start it and had to use the kickstart because it did not want to turn over. Once I rode it around with less lights turned on and was more conservative with the lights, it charged it enough to where I can actually start it again. But that's because that fooler's got a 75% gear reduction, and I'm at like 3,000 RPMs anywhere I go, which is kind of a lot. I'm almost tempted to run the oil cooler on that bike just because of how hot it got. The oil temp light never came on, but hey, I've had an oil temp sensor go bad on me before and burnt up a motor that way, so might need to look into that as far as that four-wheeler. So I got two options on this four-wheeler and I can't decide where I want to go. On this four-wheeler, I don't know if y'all remember, but I have a battery in the normal factory location with another battery in the trunk with a relay box. The reason why I did the relay box is I tapped into the factory harness. I don't know if you guys remember. Turn the key, there's switches where the lights used to be. The switches have lights built in. Those lights are tied into the factory harness. So I have my old temp light and my neutral light. The neutral light has to stay grounded out because of the gear reduction, but that's pretty much letting me know, hey, I have power. But you push the neutral light, it controls the rock lights, so that switch power tells the relay to turn on the lights. Same thing with my reverse light. I got a reverse light. Same thing with all the lights up front. I tapped into the factory harness, and all of my lights up front go through the relay box. And I have a spare. You push the old temp light. That was supposed to be for the whip lights. I never put them back on because I think they get in the way with the ice chest and all that. So I never put that back on. With this four-wheeler, I want to do the same thing. I want to, for sure, have a relay box, and I want to have a big battery. But I'm thinking the way that we need to go about this, so that Fuller probably has 30 amp hours with the 2 batteries in it. I don't think it would be hard. The thing about this bike, there used to be a reverse pod in the trunk, and that's pretty much an eyesore. I have a spot for the ice chest to cover that, and the rear winch covers that hole. I could put the relay box in the factory battery location, and I could put a bigger lithium 50 amp hour battery. It's pretty expensive, but it's lightweight. Put that in the trunk. It's not going to be too heavy where it's going to break it, and just have one big battery. I really don't have any other location to put another battery. I tried looking. The only thing I thought about was tucking it kind of underneath the air box, but I don't think that would be a good idea, because then again the battery's out in the open. I'm trying to keep this as clean looking as possible. Like I said, it already looks like a rat's nest, but hopefully the fenders cover most of this. So that's where we're at. I also have another option to where I cut out the factory battery tray, cut out the trunk, and build a metal box for both of them. Doing that would allow me to remove the rear racks, the rear fenders, without unplugging anything, which would be pretty sweet. That should be ease of maintenance right there. But also doing that requires welding a box, getting the materials, and that's just something I don't know if I can do before mud gnats. I really want to get this bike just running for mud gnats, and then whenever I strip it down to get ready for powder coat is probably when I will do the wiring harness all nice and neat. But I just want to get this bike running and testing for mud gnats. That is the goal. The other issue that I'm having is I'm running Gen 2 racks on a Gen 1 frame. So I have a new frame rack mount that I got from Greg off the 300 Club off Facebook. For those that don't know, the Gen 2 racks don't line up perfectly. I mean, just the rear racks, there's a spacer in the back to make it mount up. So that's another issue that I'm having, and that's why all of this is stacked on top of each other, on top of the winch, just to kind of give me a rough idea on where I need to run the cables, or where I need to run the wires. I don't think I'm going to run a snorkel on this four-wheeler. I think I'm going to use the factory frame snorkel because, I mean, shoot, that is tall enough. I think the factory snorkel stops right here at the gas tank. And I don't know. I think this four-wheeler will obviously float before it ever gets that deep. So we're not running a snorkel. Even though the plastics have holes in them for the snorkels, I think that's just going to be tucked underneath the oil cooler, and I will use that for the rear steer hydraulic hoses, and that should be fine. But that's where we're at. The next thing that I need to do right now, rip the gear reduction out, send that off, get that going, and then rip the motor out when it's time to put the new motor in, which I don't think is hard to do. I think on this, all I would have to do is scoot the rear diff back, which I have plenty of room to do that, remove the rear drive shaft. I should be able to scoot the motor back without touching the front diff to be able to take the 424 switch out. I don't know how far I'm going to get with the wiring harness, because another thing with this four-wheeler, what I'm starting to realize is, I don't know what the difference is with this four-wheeler, but I can steer this thing no problem. I mean, yes, it's on wheel dollies, but even when this thing is on normal ground, look, I'm using one hand to steer this thing, and it feels the same way when it's not on the wheel dollies. So I think the extra switch that I'm going to turn the power steering off, and then maybe if I'm riding around with one hand, turn the power steering on. But that is something that I am worried about. I bought the smallest power steering pump I could. I didn't buy the big one. I bought the small wattage one, which I think was like 250 watts, which is a lot. But I think it's only using 250 watts whenever you're really trying to turn to some thick stuff. I think there's a torque sensor the way the power steering works, and it only uses the full 250 watts whenever it senses a lot of torque from the input on the handlebars. So I think we're going to be all right. But still, with how easy it is to turn, I'm thinking I could turn the power steering pump off constantly. I was going to put the oil temp light on a fan, and then just when I seen the oil start getting hot, but I think I'm going to put that on a thermostat sensor so the fan for the oil cooler will kick on as need be. For those that don't know, we're putting a 502 stroker in it. Jake took the motor, took it apart, bored out the case to fit a bigger sleeve. The crank barely fits in this thing. It is a truly balanced crank to be able to handle higher RPM and nothing fall apart. It's going to be a 502 stroker going in this thing. So it's essentially it's going to be a 500 at this point, a true 500, not a 486 or anything like that. It's going to be a true 500 in this bike. I'm so excited. So with that being said, it's still going to be air cooled, but we have a oversized oil cooler, and I'm hoping that's going to be enough to where the fan doesn't have to run constantly, especially being up nice and high. I don't think it's going to overheat. The next step now is to go ahead and just pull the gear reduction out, and then I'll worry about the motor later because I'm by myself and I don't feel like pulling the carb off and the air box and all that. Let's just get the parts out that need to go out, and then we'll worry about taking the motor out later. First things first, we'll just go ahead and take this Strong Made floorboard, get that out the way, drain the oil, go from there. It's crazy I can just walk underneath this thing. Line that up and hope for the best. Yeah, that should work. Shouldn't have any issues. Guess we're gonna find out. Yeah, if I only had a taller bucket. Let's grab a 17. Looks like a straight shot, about to find out. And yeah, look at that. Good thing about the floors in this shop, they're polished. You know, you think there's not that much left to do, then you start doing it, you're like, yeah, there's a lot more than I remember. And whoever put that on was angry. It should just fall off. Yes, sir. Look at that. Perfect timing. Because the oil just got done draining. I'm going to put these back because I will lose them. I need to grab another bolt because there's only 4 bolts. There's only 3 bolts and it needs to be 4. We don't want to outsmart the engineers on this one. We want to make sure we put all the bolts back. Well, call that good. Go ahead and just shove this back in because we're going to make more of a mess when we pull that side cover off. It's going to drain oil everywhere. I don't know what's easier, trying to catch it or just let it spill on the ground and clean it up off the ground. I guess we're going to find out. You know, it's definitely been a while since I've done this, that's for sure. We'll definitely make it work. I think I just need an 8 mil after this. Need to get a new seat for this bike too. Seat doesn't look the best. The reverse lever should be loosened up. Yeah, it's definitely loosened up. All right, reverse lever's off. Unplug the old temp light. Need a 10, and the rest will be 8s. This is your oil line, so you want to make sure you save. That's a banjo bolt. I don't know where a good spot for this would be. Set it right here for now. Why not? Get this other 10 out the way. Got those there for now. Now, I haven't memorized where all these go, but my starting point is right here by the Kickstarter. So what I do is I loosen all these. You got to beat it off. Because I'm not a mastermind of where these go, I just start by the kickstart, take a piece of cardboard, poke a couple holes in them, and just these act as a placeholder. That way I don't have to guess where these things went. Now we have all the bolts. Just start here, start with the Kickstarter, go back in the same order I took them out. Can't mess that up. I think this is a good spot for this. Hey, look at that. It's going right where I wanted to. Yeah, you just tap it to knock it loose because it's really stuck on right here. And you're going to push the Kickstarter in while you're pulling out. Make sure that's not getting hung up because there's little grooves for it. That will also happen. Time to time you can kind of bend it up and it'll hold its place. Once the oil stops draining, I'm going to put my thumb on the Kickstarter and push with pull my fingers and push the Kickstarter. And on this side, just simply pull that. Should come right off. I still haven't decided what color I want to go yet with this. That's a pretty big thing too. There's no, I'm a little off. There we go. Well, made a little mess. Just a little one. Ain't nothing some brake parts cleaner and some rags can't handle though. Alright, so that's a brand new gasket because I put this gear reduction in. Not too shabby, but yeah. Comes off like so. If I'm not mistaken too, one of these is a right-handed thread. So we're gonna try going one way. If it don't come off, then we'll go the other way. I'm just gonna set this on the ground for now. You'll see a little groove in there for that nut. Go ahead and bend that back out, which this one wasn't even pressed that good in. I wonder who put that in. Maybe it walked on me. Yep. So you tighten that nut, act like you're tightening it, with left-handed threads. Usually, sometimes these don't come off easy. Same thing, take a mallet. Here's the other side of our gear reduction. Man, that thing is in there, yeah? We need this part to come off. Set this to the side for now. I don't know why that won't come off. It's not gonna just pop off at you, so don't be scared. Try to take them springs out with it, or leave them in. I don't know what I want to do. I'm gonna take them all out with it. Why not? Yep, so that one's regular. These 300s are so easy to put a gear reduction in. Now we got what we need to ship off. At least that's out the way. Although there is one more thing. There's a countersunk adapter. So this allows you to be able to still run your kickstart because there's a countersunk screw instead of a hex head like this. So that's good. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and save this. I'm gonna send this with everything else to Jake so that I can still run the Kickstarter in the other motor. I'm just gonna make it easier, put the case back on. That makes it easier removing everything. Another thing that's up in the air, if I want to keep the tan plastics on this, that I'm not 100% sure on. Don't judge me for using impact. I put it on the soft setting. Pretty much stops at 5 foot-pounds. It ain't shit. That's not gonna hurt anything before y'all start going crazy in the comment. Get that Kickstarter started first. Kind of eyeball everything else. Not tapping it hard, I'm just tapping it a little bit to get it to eventually slide on. Everything slid back on. We can take our custom organizer here and put all the bolts back. And this is just so easy of taking the motor out because I'm not trying to grab all the internals of the motor while trying to take it apart. The goal now for this motor going forth, this is just a thought, bring this whole motor with me when I go pick up the new motor once it's ready, and have Jake build maybe just put a 400 top, go through it, put a 400 top in on it, and put that on the copper bite, and that should be all that I need. I don't know if I want to paint the plastics on this one. I really don't know the whole route that I want to go with this one, but I need to figure something out. I don't mind keeping the tan, but I don't know what powder coat to go with the tan. I do like the gray. The frame's already gray, but the frame's got to get re-powder coated because there's so much stuff welded to it. That's it for now. Y'all should let me know in the comments what color powder coat we should go with because we got plenty of time to decide that. Like I said, I don't mind the gray. The deal with the copper one, I was kind of going off of those two-tone Fords that used to be tan and they have the copper bottom. I like the copper that's on it. I sometimes maybe wish it was a little bit lighter, but for the most part I like it. Got a lot going on here too. There's a lot of stuff I got to take apart, remember how it goes back. So whenever I do powder coat it, it's got to be quick. And the time to powder coat it would be while the motor's out. But you have to test these things to make sure. What you don't want to do is dip your thing in oil. What you don't want to do is spend all that money powder coating stuff just to find out that the frame's going to split in half. That's why that's not getting done. So I know some of y'all are probably gonna ask, why don't you do it whenever it's all stripped apart? Because I don't know if I have that much confidence. I have my doubts. I think it's gonna work. Like I said, this ain't gonna be a bounty hole bike. It's gonna be a ride around, have fun. As far as that goes, I think we'll be all right. Best invention ever. All right, guys, that is it for today. I got a busy week ahead of me, so I don't have time to pull the motor out this week, but I'll work on it as soon as I can. But hopefully we get that motor back in soon and we'll swap it out and get this thing fired up. Y'all stay tuned.